Welcome to the Fitchburg Cultural Council's December 19th, 2023 meeting. We're opening the meeting at 4:42 p.m. We have our ex officio Joe here, Audrey, our co-chair, soon-to-be chair, Tamar, chair, Shara, secretary. We have Liz, our treasurer, and we have Ellen, one of our members. And the Massachusetts Cultural Council is a public entity. We're part of the Massachusetts Cultural Council. This is the local Cultural Council, or LCC. And our job here is to elevate our rich cultural life in Fitchburg, and we're put in place by the mayor's office, and we're all volunteers. We welcome everybody to join us at any time. Just talk to one of us about how you do it. So just as a housekeeping note, we're being recorded, and we're on TV for public access for the future, so anything we say here is being recorded. That's just a good note. So we always talk about the agenda first, anything that's on the agenda, and if the public's here, we welcome them to speak as long as it pertains to the agenda. A few meeting guidelines. So our first item on our agenda today is new members, and we have Glenn, a guest from the public with us, and I know you're interested in joining. Would you like to step up to the podium, Glenn, and just say hello? And help me with your last name, how you pronounce it.
Fossa. Fossa. Florida, O-S-S-A.
Thank you. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so lifelong member and resident of the city of Fitchburg, educated here in Fitchburg schools, University of Mass, Boston undergrad and graduate degree from Anna Maria. And over the years and generationally, we've had a tremendous interest, read a lot about architecture, built a few projects myself and currently undergoing the same. Currently the owner of a couple of buildings, one which is significant under the historical designation, and of course the Morin Square Diner, which is currently in the news, by the way. So kind of rounding out a lot of that. Worked very publicly with the police department for about the last 12 or 15 years of my career, and just very interested in moving the city forward in whatever way we can.
I love it. Thank you very much. And Glenn and I have talked a couple times. Does the council have any questions for Glenn? No? Just in case.
Do you have any special interests that made you decide that you were interested in the Cultural Council?
Yeah, I'm kind of that kind of personality that it has to be right. Mm-hmm. You know, scale, color, look. This is an offshoot of our other, professional work, and so I'm really intrigued by what the Cultural Council does and how it fits into all the different elements of what you see publicly and maybe what you hear. Yeah. Does that answer that, Liz?
I think so. Thank you.
Joe? Did I see a...
I didn't raise my hand, but I would like to make a statement. I'm glad to see you here, Glenn, first of all. And I just wanted to remind the council that the process we've agreed to do on this is that there is an initial review of what's required for the Cultural Council that we want to make sure that Glenn is comfortable with and is able to make the commitment before we proceed with the officials of receiving the application and passing it along with the support of the council to the mayor's office. Sure. So I hope you'll be amenable to that.
Yeah, I mean, I currently do sit on another commission, which is the License Commission. Yep. And this is very convenient because it's the day after that they meet, yeah. So I'm in town.
Great. Looking forward to the process.
Yeah, I want to learn a lot more about what you guys do.
Audrey?
Awesome. Glenn, are you available, or come chat with me and or maybe Shara if she's available also at the end of the meeting, and we can either set up a time to do that info session, or maybe we can even do it really quickly after the meeting.
Sure.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Glenn. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
So just as a note to the public, we're always looking for new members. Our term is 3 years. We can take a second if we want, and if the mayor likes it, whoever that is in office, and then it's over for a period of time. So thank you guys very much. All right, so we're going to do our minutes. We have a bunch of minutes from our grant meetings to put into vote. So there should be in your little packet of information, there should be 3, November 15th, November 20th, and November 27th. So we can take a one motion, or we can do them one by one, depending on if anyone has any edits.
Was it 11:13?
It's 11:13, 11:20, and 11:27. So would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve all three sets of minutes, November 13th, November 20th, and November 27th.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Liz. So we have a motion from Liz to approve all three sets as presented, a second from Shara. Anybody speaking to the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. So those can go to City Hall. All right, the next thing is the treasurer's report. So this is all you, Liz.
All right, so if you look at the treasurer's report, which should be in front of you, you have information on expenses through, income and expenses through November of 2023. So currently, we have a combined $2,228.87 in our local funds. Now, that is a combination of the scholarship funds and then the rest of our local funds. Right now, we're only showing $500 in the scholarship fund, but I'm feeling pretty confident that it's just because the other funding went into the local funds. It just needs to be moved into the scholarship funds.
Thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome. And then with respect to the FY22 grant account, that number hasn't changed in a while. That's $8,213.32. That's the amount that gets reprogrammed into our grant cycle that we're reviewing now for next year. And then the last account that you'll see is our FY23 grant. We had two new transactions since the last time we looked at the treasurer's report. That was Monty Tech, their Blacksmith Festival charges, and then the New Players Theater Guild's Music Man event, leaving us with $20,536. That there are still additional grants that could be dispersed that haven't been requested yet. We're in good shape to move into the next year. And hopefully the rest of the FY23 money will be spent down, because if it's not, it will be reprogrammed for the following year.
Thank you very much. So would anybody like to make a motion on the agenda, or on the treasurer's report, excuse me?
I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Thank you, Ellen. Anybody want to second the motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Shara. Anybody speaking to the motion? Joe?
Liz, I just had a few questions. I see that there was a correction at the end of September on that. Was that identified as to where the $300 went?
I had trouble figuring that one out, and so there was a lot of ins and outs. So that is something that I'd like to find some time to go back and sort through.
Okay.
But generally, it's usually, I just need to figure it out. I don't expect that there's an error there.
Yeah.
But I don't have an answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you will be looking into it. That's all. I just wanted to confirm. Okay. And then, just so I'm clear, the balances that you're listing for FY22 and FY23, these are funds that we've previously granted that the grantees have not requested their checks?
Correct.
And so we will then roll them into the funds we've received for this year in order to make them available. And
the FY22 funds will get rolled over. FY23 won't get rolled over until we're in the grant cycle for the following year.
so I'm just trying to do the calendaring in my head. So FY23 closed
December 31st.
on July 30th of this year.
June 30th.
Right?
June 30th.
June 30th of this year. And so
no,
the
we're
grants-
actually, it does get tricky with fiscal years. So we are currently, when you think about it from a city perspective, we are currently in FY24. We're already in FY24. That started July 1. But
Right.
the grant year that's listed is based on what the state gives us, and they're calling the grants that we're reviewing right now, they're calling those FY24. Yeah, FY '24, even though
Right.
we've been in FY '24 since July 1. But, we're giving them out as January of '24. So if you think about it as a calendar year,
Yeah, I'm trying.
makes sense. Even though we work on a fiscal year,
Right.
the
So this-
name,
I know
the
the city-
naming is based on the calendar year.
And so the FY '22 is the stuff that gets rolled over, but the FY '23 stays there for?
Correct, and I think we might even have a few extensions here that we're looking at that are FY '23.
Right. Got it.
So that gives us that buffer to be able
Right,
to,
so for what fiscal year, in terms of what's on this sheet here, what is the fiscal year that's ending December 31st?
FY23.
FY '23.
Okay, so that means this 20,536, if the events have not occurred and we haven't authorized extensions, it rolls into the funds that we're granting with the current cycle.
Not with the current cycle. Because we couldn't tell MCC in, what was it, October? What we had available to roll over because that year hadn't ended by October, right? It doesn't end until
Yeah.
the end of this month. So we're always sort of a year behind with what we're rolling over. Does that make sense? I don't know if it's more helpful. I also included the grant report, the financial report that went to MCC.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if that helps make any more sense of anything. Actually, I'm
Okay.
not sure that it would, with respect to this conversation.
No, I think it does because I was looking at in the Smart Simple form, they are pulling from the final report that was due in October. So I think that we have to just go with the numbers from October,
Yeah.
Because grantee still had November and December to send us their paperwork to get money.
So am I correct
Okay,
in understanding the amount that we were allotted for FY '24 is 56,600?
Yes.
And then also we'll add the FY 2022 rollover, which is 8,213?
Yes, and that brings us to a total, which on the last page of the report, or page 5 of the report, you see is 64,813.
Right,
So-
that's what I,
if I'm the only one that's confused on this, it's probably true that it's just me. So, because I've done this for a long time and I don't usually get confused by the numbers.
I think
So
it's
it
just-
just might be the way it's been presented here on this document. And Liz, I'll just clarify it with you separately, offline, okay?
Okay.
makes
Thank
sense
you.
to me. Okay.
I had a question.
All right, go ahead, Audrey.
So I'm just looking at this in comparison to my grant coordinator notes. I sent I sent in some grant agreements to City Hall as early as December 7th that are not listed on here as checks going out. Is that in like another week or something?
So did not include, so this is the November report.
Oh, okay.
So nothing from December would be included on that. So I don't like to include that month that we're in. We want to complete the month and then put that, once the month's completed, put it into the report.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion from Ellen to approve the treasurer's report, second from Shara. Anybody else speaking to the motion? All in favor?
Is that
Thank you.
unanimous?
You're welcome. All in favor, yep. Motion carries. Thank you, Liz.
You're welcome.
For the comprehensive report. I appreciate it. All right, so the next thing we have is the grants. So we're going to start with some extensions. We're not doing the money grants, obviously, tonight for FY '24. That'll be in January. So we're going to start with some extensions. We're going to start with Monique because she's here. Monique, if you'd like to step up. Monique Guthrie. This is LCC FY '23 46565. And Monique, maybe if you want to speak to us a few minutes about your extension request.
Thank you for acknowledging my extension. I really appreciate it again. Sorry about taking so long. So just to clarify for what my project is, I sought to do live painting during the first Thursday event series. First Thursdays is a citywide event series where businesses can have pop-ups, promotions, and deals. And then we would do pop-up events downtown, my organization where I work, called In Town Fitchburg. And I didn't think about the fact that while organizing events, it would probably be pretty difficult to also be participating and painting at them. So I appealed to the Cultural Council to paint not just at First Thursdays, but just to do live painting to enhance and enrich the events. So that I do believe was already approved. And I had already fulfilled 4 hours of live painting at a First Thursday in, I believe, November. It was the like the Harvest Festival First Thursday. And thank you, Audrey, for coming. So essentially, I still, and at my established rate of $50 per hour, that means I had already worked for $200, so I have to fulfill $400 more to reach my $600 grant goal. So I'm seeking an extension, for the next cycle. And I'm also grateful that I can do this at other events as well, because maybe I can go to events where I'm not so involved. And I'd also been hoping to do it at the Winter Bazaar at City Hall, but since that didn't happen, I didn't paint there either. And the other element to this project that I did want to bring to the table is that I actually wanted to introduce a guided painting activity, either in tandem with the live painting or as an alternative. Just to enrich the community impact. I just want, what I'm doing to match the event that I'm at. So if the guiding and art activity is more enriching, or if myself painting a piece is more enriching, I would opt to do one or the other. And I'm happy to share like the photos and everything from doing that for the grant following the activity to the council, so long as that makes sense for everyone. I'm essentially looking for an extension for the remaining $400, and then also seeking to do it, obviously, at the events that aren't First Thursdays, just First Thursdays, and then also like changing, maybe sometimes not just doing live painting, but doing the art activity, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. Thank you for explaining. Does anyone have any questions for Monique while she's here? Liz?
Can you explain a little bit what a guided painting activity might look like?
Yeah, of course. So I actually kind of was doing some double duty when I was doing my live painting for the First Thursday already. So I was also just helping with like a pumpkin painting activity for the kids. So by like a guided painting, more so just like an interactive experience with like maybe, kids, families, adults, just bringing my own paint supplies maybe from Main Street Studios to the table. And then just having, setting up an activity for other people to paint, and then I can, facilitate that. So essentially facilitation versus me doing a live painting activity. Just again, whatever fits the mission of the event better, I'm happy to do either way.
Great.
Anybody else? Okay. I think it makes sense. So would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve this extension and the adjustment variables for this grant.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shara. Anybody want a second Shara's motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ellen. Joe, speaking to the motion?
Yeah, I'd like to speak to the motion. When we file for extension, so we do motions for extension, we should put a deadline date for the extension. And my recommendation is just because we're on that weird fiscal year in the government, that perhaps we should put that at the end of June, if that's okay with the grantee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
That makes sense.
Shara, would you like to slightly amend your?
I'd like to amend that.
Thank you.
To include everything I said, with the deadline date being the end of June.
Thank you. So we have an amended motion to allow this extension with the end date of June 2024 from Shara. Would anybody like to second the motion?
Second, yep.
Thank you, Ellen. Anybody else speaking to the motion? All in favor? Thank you, Monique.
Thank
Very
you.
much.
Thanks, Monique.
Oh, and I don't know if I should speak to this on a separate time or anything like that, but I just wanted to say I'm happy to volunteer with the Cultural Council, not as maybe a direct member, but I'm happy to volunteer with any sort of PR, marketing, graphic design, outreach, maybe that you guys might need help with. So if there's anything that you can think of, please just let me know, and I would be happy to assist the Cultural Council on an as-needed basis, but not necessarily as a member.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Kanisha, you'd like to come up? So this is FY 23 46795.
46795?
Did I say it wrong? 46795?
Just making sure I got it right.
Oh, yeah, sorry, 46795. Care Initiative Corporation's Restore Active Care. Restore Active
Yes,
Care.
Yes.
That's a big word.
Yes.
Could you tell us about your extension request?
Yes. Good evening, Council. It is so cool to be here. So this is my first time in this building. I am requesting an extension due to illness. It is the most straightforward and annoying reason, but the reason nevertheless. So the goal was to be able to have this project, which was going to actually work in threefold. It was going to be creating an artist in residency, but expanding upon what artist is. So artist in terms of life artistry. We have people who are awesome in business, and they often don't understand that there is an art to business, an art to civic service, an art to that. So that was one of the things that I wanted to do. The second is to be able to approach art as an aesthetic, but also as a healing modality. So the written part of that is already done. But the execution is where it fell short, in that I've been hospitalized 6 times this year. I have documentation if that is needed, and it has sucked. That is a technical term, by the way. Sucked. So learning from this experience, it has helped me figure out, well, I need to have somebody who's going to assist me in these different projects. All of our partners have been updated, and they are on board. They're supportive of our next year date. We are looking to do April, and April is only open in that all of us who have lived in New England for at least a year, you know that the weather sucks. So it can be summery, sort of, and then it can snow the next day. So we're looking at the last weekend of April with our partner, or one of our partners, which is Fitchburg Cultural Alliance. And if that falls short, we will definitely make sure that we're doing this by the end of June. I will pause and find out if anybody has any questions.
Anyone? No?
No.
Would anybody like to make a motion on grant application 46795?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the extending application FY23 LCC 46795, Restorative Art Care, Community Wellness Artist in Residency through June 30th, 2024.
Anybody want to second the motion?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Liz. Anybody speaking to the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Kanisha.
Thank you. Council, I hope you know, because some of us have been in similar situations, you all are extraordinarily appreciated. I hope you know that, because I know sometimes you don't get that. You probably get more of the complaints. Tamar, I love your earrings. Audrey, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kanisha.
You doing your work, too, out in the world.
Thank you.
You're welcome to join us anytime.
Come back to the council.
Come back to the council. All right, Audrey, I'm going to rely on you for the next one. It's the Marion Rice Dance Legacy Project. They asked to postpone this or hold it to 2024, and I don't have the application number.
Sure. Give me a second.
And this was due to someone's passing. So again, it's a personal extension request.
So this was, that is not included on here. Application FY23 LCC 46742. The title was Marion Rice Dance Legacy Project. Yep, they're just asking for an extension, focusing on April or May 2024.
So, but anyone like to make a motion on this one? 46742, right, Audrey?
46742.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to extend this grant to 6/30/2023, 24.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Shara. Thank you, Liz. So we have a motion from Liz to extend the Marion Rice request 46742 until the end of June 24. A second from Shara. Anybody speaking to the motion? All in favor? Okay, that's approved. Audrey, are you doing the correspondence on these to get back
Yes.
to them? Okay. The next one is 40832, North County Land Trust.
It's
And
also FY '23.
FY23, yep. 4082. And this was not an extension, but maybe Audrey, you can explain. It's a difference in the funds, so they were to submit them back. Actually, we
Oh, yes, okay.
may not need to vote on this, actually.
So what happened was, on their final report, they were granted $1,080, but in their final report, the amount added up to $990. So I asked them, "Are you going to return the remaining amount?" It is a small amount, but I didn't know what we should do with it. And so they said that they would appreciate, I don't have the email with me right now.
It's right here.
Great, thank you. I'm going to just take this one.
Yeah, there's an extra.
Thank you. We did not budget it for our application, so did not include it in our report, but no staff time was allotted for the back office reporting end of our project. It is unfortunately much harder to quantify than number of staff at an event times number of hours. I don't know if it is allowable use for it after the fact, but it would be a big help if we could defray the cost of our overhead and my labor by not returning the remaining $90. Not trying to pressure the council. You can tell me if that's against the rules. Either way, we are very thankful to the Fitchburg Cultural Council.
I'd like to jump in and ask Joe. I don't recall ever doing this. Do we need to vote on this?
I haven't seen this in the past, but I didn't look up the application for this, so they applied with justification for spending $1,080, is that correct? And the council can decide really what it would like to do with the funds in this case. My recommendation, it would be to first, let's determine if they have an application in for this cycle. And I don't remember if they did. If they do, we could apply those funds, ask that they are approved to apply those funds to the grant that we are approving for them. And we will consider that. We may consider taking that sum out of what we would typically award this cycle, if you know what I mean. Or we could decide to fund the same way as before, or just ask that they put it towards the amount that we can't fund in the current cycle.
Audrey?
I do not see them under applications for FY24. And the reason why I brought this to the council is because I didn't want to make the decision. That it would be better if, I asked the council what they thought.
I'm just going to make a comment, and I see Liz's hand. North County Land Trust is a nonprofit, and we need more land trusts. I don't think it's a huge amount of money to request back. Liz?
I'm just wondering if anybody's looked back at what they proposed in their budget in that application for this 1080, because perhaps they just forgot. There might have been a line item that absorbed this 90 and they billed less, or they forgot to include that line item when they did their report. So it might be that they have use for that funding, and I'd want to take a look at that before making a decision, or at least before making a decision to make them return the money. I'd want us to see what their budget actually said.
Joe?
If the council will indulge me, we could take a break on this one. We'll just table it and come back to it a little later in the meeting. I'll see if I can dig up their application.
All right, let's do that.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, we're moving on. We're moving on to Women's Caucus. we have a letter from the president, Joanne Stoll, and we have an email from Helen Obermeyer Simmons. This is application FY23 38614, Women in the Visual Arts. They had a difficulty with scheduling the program, and they would like to have an extension until the spring of '24. So we could do the same thing, extending it to the summer, June 2024. I don't think I need to read these letters because you have them in front of you, but we could take a motion on this one. It's 38614.
I'll make a motion that we give them the same extension that we've allotted to the other ones, of extended till June, the end of June 2024.
Thank you, Shara. Anybody want to second the motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ellen. So we're doing a motion here to extend application 38614 for the Women's Caucus to June 24. Anybody speaking to the motion? Audrey?
The only thing is they still haven't sent us their grant agreement. I haven't been able to get a hold of them. And Liz, correct me if I'm wrong, they do need to send us their grant agreement and W-9 by December 31st so that they can get their grant money.
Well, if we're giving them an extension, then they can submit it after that. But I think that is their next step, is they need to sign the grant agreement. Even if they don't want to request the money until after they perform, we should get the grant agreement.
Okay, so it doesn't matter if funds are
No.
left by December 31st.
No,
Okay,
because
great.
this is falling into the same bucket as everybody else.
That's
getting
why
an
it's
extension.
2023, and we don't
Yeah.
put that money toward 2024.
Yeah.
And they've had a little bit of transition, I know, with, what's it called, leadership roles. So
Right.
that happens. They all have personal emails, so. Okay, so we have a motion from Shara, a second from Ellen to extend this to June 24. Anybody else speaking to the motion, or we'll take a vote? Okay, all in favor? Thank you very much. It's approved. Thanks, Audrey. Okay, so that is all I had for grant extensions.
What about this one?
That was
I'll have to pull
included.
that
We've
up
already done that
after
one.
This next
Oh,
one.
right,
though.
that's,
Yep, she read part of that letter.
it was all to.
Okay. The next one was,
the one
it's
that
only in
didn't
your
get in.
emails.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm leaning on you for this one, Audrey, because I don't have it.
So this is for application FY23 LCC-40945, Henry Hikes to Fitchburg Workshop Media. So this was by Judith Lint, I don't know how to pronounce her name, Listent. Her program is slated to be completed on December 31st. So I asked her, would you like an extension just so that you can have a couple of weeks to fill out that final report? And so she replied, thank you for the offer of the board to consider a brief extension of 2 weeks to prepare the final report. In addition, my intention to send you a cablecast dates and times in advance of actual showing within the next 2 weeks. The program will be aired on FATV on December 31st. I asked, is this a formal request of an extension? She said, yes, this is a formal request for more time. So she's just asking for 2 weeks into January so that she can submit her final report.
Okay, so this is application 40945. Also needs an extension. Anybody want to make a motion?
Motion to approve the extension of 2 weeks.
Thank you, Liz. Seems like a no-brainer to me. Okay, who's next? Who would like to make a second motion?
I'll second it.
Shara, thank you. Anybody speaking to the motion?
I'm just trying to figure out what 2 weeks is. So January 14th?
Do we want to look at what day of the week that is, maybe?
That's a Sunday.
So how about the 15th?
Okay.
Okay. All in favor? Thank you. Anything else, Audrey? I think that's it.
Those are all my modifications and extensions.
Yay.
Woohoo. Good job, guys.
Yeah.
A lot of paperwork the last meeting of the year. That's it. So grant meeting in January. I'm going to leave that to Audrey to schedule.
The third Tuesday of the month lands right before our deadline to submit the final report. So unless people want to meet earlier in that, I think we can just keep that.
That's awesome.
Does that give you enough time to do the inputting that needs to happen to get the report in?
I've never personally done it before, but Tamar, can you give advice of how long does it take to?
It's a couple
Put that
hours,
in.
but yeah, it's not that long.
Okay.
It's an automated system, so it's pretty quick.
It's just putting in the
Once you get the
denials and
information in.
the approvals and the amounts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it can be done. I can help if you need help. And Joe can help too if we need help.
So
Okay.
third Tuesday in January.
Next meeting. Yep.
I make a motion to close our meeting.
Adjourn.
Oh, we have two.
Adjourn? Or do we have
I
more?
just wanted to do two quick things.
I'll hold that.
I just want to put in everybody's heads that when we come to the January meeting,
Oh, yeah.
we should be thinking about dates for the new year. So dates for the meetings, the grantee reception, and blanking on what else. So I just thought we should think ahead of those events when we come to the January meeting, so that if we need the art museum, we can get in on their schedule. And then also, I just wanted to make a note that on the scholarship, I know there's $1,000 in there. I'm telling you guys this so that you continue the situation in the new year. Catherine's going to take it over. The Women's Caucus has agreed to manage the input of the applicants and their applications for the scholarship funds. And the Fitchburg Redevelopment Authority would like to see proof at the end of this that it's done, how the funds were spent, and who the grantee was that received their funds. So that's just something I wanted to mention tonight, so it's in the record, so that in the new year, when Catherine gets started on that,
Catherine is starting, and you said who, the cultural?
the Women's Caucus,
Caucus is-
Women's Caucus for Art, yeah, the Massachusetts chapter, which is amazing that they're Massachusetts chapter now, and they're pretty local to us, which is amazing. So now you can make a motion.
Oh, wait.
Oh,
Well, we want to go back
the
to
last grant.
Yeah.
All right, going backwards.
Yeah, we did have office staff in there, she did have it in her application. So let's hear what she wrote in her final report.
North County Land Trust, everybody.
Yeah, sorry, this is application 40832 for Hands-on Nature Series by the North County Land Trust. We paid staff, which amounted to $450. Well, then that, $450 plus 90. Now I'm looking for $540, which was for salaries and fees, which is kind of like office staff. Yeah, so maybe she just needs to adjust this to, say, 1080.
Just increase the office staff
Yeah,
line item.
So I don't know that, all right, I guess we don't really need to vote on this. But if you'd like, if someone would like to make a motion, we could do that and just have it official.
I'd make a motion that we recommend to her that she resubmit her final report and adjust her line item to increase the personnel.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion from Liz to ask the North County Land Trust 40832 to resubmit showing the 1,080. And a second from Audrey. Anybody speaking to the motion? All in favor? That seems fair. Okay. Perfect. I think that's everything. Thank you guys very much for a great year. See you in January. And,
Before we,
yeah.
do we have on the schedule our next grant cycle 24 meeting?
No.
Like we still have to
That's the next meeting in January.
Yeah, so January 16th, I believe. Unless we foresee that for some reason we'll need more time.
What is the deadline to submit our,
January 17th.
okay. Someone's going to have a long night.
Yeah. Well, it's 24 hours. So the third Tuesday in January is the 16th. The meeting's 4:30. That evening, you've got from that evening to the next midnight, so it's even more than 24 hours.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. So 11:59 p.m. on January 17th, right?
Yeah,
That's when it has to be in.
Great.
And the
Much
Massachusetts
better.
Cultural Council
Clear your
is.
calendar.
I mean, the Massachusetts Cultural Council is amazing. If there's a problem and you have trouble submitting, they'll get on the phone with you the next day and fix it. So it's not like death by midnight, you know. All right, so now we can take a motion to adjourn. It's 5:23 p.m.
I make a motion to adjourn. You said 5, what time is it?
23.
23.
5:23. So Shara made a motion to adjourn. Anybody else want to second it?
Second.
Audrey seconds it. Thank you guys very much. All in favor? We're adjourned.
Hi. Woohoo.